Hi guys, it's Lanikia. Sorry, I know the video is a little late. I got ready for bed and then I started watching the act. And I realized that I had watched some of this episode, but I hadn't watched the complete episode. So it took me a little longer to tell my notes. So this is the act, season 1, episode 2, called Teeth. It's on the Hulu if you haven't watched it or whatever. Okay, so we start off at 9:30 p.m. and we are talking to Mel asks if they should put an Amber Alert out for Gypsy. And all the people, so the doctor, the detectives are trying to figure out what Gypsy has because Lacey says Gypsy is sick and she's gonna need her medicines and everything. So all the neighbors start talking about what's wrong with Gypsy, and it is so they're all saying, "Well, I thought she had this, and I thought she had that, and I thought it was all these different things that Dee Dee has been telling people are wrong with Gypsy." Sorry, y'all. I put on my nightgown and now it's I'm trying to. Sorry about that. And so, anyways, the point of it all is that Dee Dee had told so many stories about what was wrong with Gypsy that everyone had a different story, and Mel was like, "Well, um, we're just confused and everything about what's going on." But and I think it's so messed up because Mel called Dee Dee out at first, like she knew exactly who Dee Dee was, but Dee Dee did convince her that it wasn't like that or whatever. So, anyways, so then we flash back to 2019, which is the majority of the story takes place. So we flash back and we see Gypsy watching makeup tutorials, and all that kind of stuff, watching the girls put on their makeup, and which you could get in a rabbit hole doing that. So she's watching that. She's eating frosting, drinking Coke. Gypsy is really intaking all of this sugar. So Gypsy's been eating too much of it though because her teeth they're bothering her. They're really starting to ache. So they don't tell us how long she's been doing that, but it's gotta been a while. It has to have been a while because she wasn't ever eating anything. So for her to be, well, maybe that's why, but I don't know. Anyways, so Dee Dee, so the next thing we see, Dee Dee gets a letter in the mail, and the letter is saying that Gypsy is the child of the year for Springfield. And of course, Dee Dee is ecstatic about it because she says she worked so hard to try to win that for Gypsy. So she touches Gypsy's cheek because you know how someone just touches you. She touches Gypsy's cheek when she's telling her the great news, and Gypsy backs away and she lets Dee Dee know that her teeth are hurting, and that's right up Dee Dee's alley because the first thing she goes, "Oh my God, is what's underlying? What underlying condition is it? Is your stomach hurting? Is your chest hurting?" And Gypsy's just nodding her head yes, even though none of these things are happening. She's just nodding her head yes, and of course that sends Dee Dee straight to the doctor, because she said it feels like it's acid reflux acting up on her again. So as they're going through the doctor, like your doctor should know you, but those people were like really familiar with Dee Dee and all them, so it tells you how much they had been there. Plus their doctor, he had on like bunny slippers and stuff. It was like he was you know how some people are very intelligent but have no common sense. That's how it seemed like with their doctor. Now they might just be portraying this role for TV, because we do know that some characters and some things in here are not actually what happened. But if that was their doctor, anywho, so he talks to Dee Dee, and she's listing everything that's wrong with Gypsy and everything. And he's like, I know, I know. Like he's been through this with her before. And he tells her, I'm gonna bring Dr. Chandra up to like look at her to see, what if it's the acid reflux, what's going on. And when he's talking to her, he places his prescription pad on the cabinet or the desk where they are, nurses station area. And Dee Dee does not miss a moment to pick that right on up and put it under her big binder of medical issues that Gypsy has. Like, did y'all see that binder? Like all of them different notes and and all the different times she's been in the hospital. Like that was ridiculous. What doctor would be treating someone who has that kind of a binder? Their mother has that kind of a binder and has the nerve to say like some of it got lost in Katrina. So that's a lot. Like I didn't understand that part of it. So then we go to the doctor. Okay, so the doctor puts out and then then we go to Gypsy meets with Dr. Chandra. And she is working with Gypsy and she touches her neck and everything and tells Gypsy to swallow. Now, remind you, Dee Dee says Gypsy's glands have been removed, but I guess the doctor is like, if doesn't feel like it, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know really about the body like that, so I'm not gonna even pretend. But it feels like the doctor is like, oh, I'm feeling it's like I can feel her swallows, saliva glands. I don't know, but so the doctor is asking her when were they removed, and Dee Dee's like, oh, let me go in the files. I love Patricia Arquette's accent in this show, but she's like, let me go in the files and everything. And the doctor's like, I just need ballpark. And she's like, the files you're looking for were lost in Katrina. Like that is the perfect excuse for Dee Dee. I'd have to actually look this up again to see if they were actually a part of, like, really a part of Katrina or not, or if that's something she's made up. But anyways, so the doctor tells Gypsy that she might be able to get off the feeding tube and everything. And Dee Dee starts shutting that down. Like, she wants nothing to do with that doctor at that point because she doesn't want, like, she wants Gypsy on the feeding tube. She wants something to be wrong with her so that she can always take care of her and so that she can be poor Dee Dee, look how she takes care of her daughter and all that. She wants that kind of attention on herself. So she was trying to shut that doctor down. Now they did talk about her teeth, like Gypsy's teeth, and the doctor is looking at her teeth like, you should get her to a dentist immediately. But she was also saying like that kind of decay, like you got to be like, you could tell the doctor was like, she's got to be eating something. And Gypsy's like, I only eat 20% of the time, and she's just like, you got to be eating something because you wouldn't have that type of decay for only eating 20% of food like that you can actually swallow. So Gypsy was excited when the doctor told her she could have this feeding tube taken out. Of course, Dee Dee shut that down, and so they end up leaving, but not before Dee Dee could get that prescription, and she wasn't so ticked off with the doctor when she did that and everything to try to help. Because Dee Dee is like anything with prescription medicine, anything she's okay with that. So then they go. The next scene we see them outside of like a store. I don't know if it was like a CVS or something like that, but Dee Dee has that pad that she stole from the first doctor, and she's writing out a prescription for herself, and she's going in the store to get it done. And Gypsy sees like girls in bikinis and all of that, and she tells her mom like she wants to get the feeding tube removed because she wants to look like that, but she's like, I can't look like that with this feeding tube in me. But her mom of course shuts her down again and just is like, you're special, and you know how Dee Dee talks to Gypsy. So talks to Gypsy just to get her to be quiet. So then we flash forward. So Mel says, what if the people were after, so they're all, it's Mel, Lacey, and Shelly, and they're all sitting there and they're like, man, who would want to kill Dee Dee? And they're like, I don't know. And Mel is just like, well, Dee Dee wasn't, she had her ways. And they're like, Mel. And she's like, no, what I'm trying to say is that even though Dee Dee had her ways about her, I don't know anybody who would hate her so much they would want to kill her. And they're just like, and Lacey says, well, what if they were after Dee Dee and what if they were after Gypsy and not Dee Dee? Because, of course, over the years, Gypsy has told Lacey a lot of secrets. So then we flash back again. So Gypsy is at the refrigerator and she is about to drink some Coke, but then she looks and she sees that they have like a convention for the child coming up, and she doesn't want her teeth messed up, so she leaves it alone. So then she goes, and y'all know, if y'all watch any of my videos, like with Handmaid's Tale and stuff, y'all know I'm squirmish when it comes to blood and all that. So she goes to the bathroom and she starts brushing her teeth, and her tooth fell out, and she pulled it out. Her tooth, I guess, messed up, and she pulled it out. Sorry, I'm really squirmish when it comes to that kind of stuff. I had to put the TV on silent and I was watching, but I was looking away as well when that scene went on because I'm so squirmish when it comes to that. But I felt bad for her because her teeth are falling out, and that's the last thing she wants to happen when she has the child of the year coming up. So Mel is going over bills and she's kind of depressed and the boys are being loud and Lacey comes in with her girlfriends and everything. And then we see that Gypsy is looking outside and she sees Lacey and her friends going into the house. And so Dee Dee brings Lacey over. Excuse me, Dee Dee brings Gypsy over to have a group to hang out with Lacey. And Mel's like, oh, well, the boys are on the PlayStation. Lacey's in the room with her friends. And she looks at Dee Dee, and Mel has a soft spot excuse me, not Dee Dee. She looks at Gypsy, and Mel has a soft spot for Gypsy. So she's like, come on in, just follow the music. So Lacey loves Gypsy as well, so she brings her in. And that family just really cares about them. So it was really, so she goes into the room with Lacey and her friends. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, I hope they don't be mean to her. But they were not. They were really nice to her and everything. So they were all talking about tattoos and they're just talking about, girl stuff what you do at that age. And so they passed Gypsy I think it was weed, and they look at her teeth and they're like, your teeth are messed up. And they got on the girl who told her that or whatever. But they're like, girl, just get your teeth, just get your teeth fixed. If all you're doing, like the bad thing you're doing is just eating candy and all that stuff, just get it fixed. And Lacey was like, I thought you were allergic to sugar. And one of the girls was like, well, when I was younger, I was allergic to walnuts, and now I can just eat them just fine. So Lacey's like, yeah, I'm growing out of it because Lacey slipped up. Excuse me, Gypsy's like, yeah, I'm growing out of it because Gypsy slipped up. Because Gypsy, I don't blame all of this on Dee Dee, because based on the series, and I don't know how it went in real life, but based on the series, Gypsy kind of knows what's going on. She knows she's not allergic to sugar and all of that kind of stuff. She could say something, but she's not. So anyways, we're going to go on to the next scene, which is Dr. Chandra digging into the background because she had lunch with the doctor, the elderly doctor is Lacey's physician and everything. And she's like, did you look into the background, about evidence or any of this about, Gypsy's medical records? And he's like, no, with Katrina. And she was like, but did you look at anything? And he was like, which one? And she was like, all of it. Did you look to see if any of this was true? Because she's not believing any of it. So she's digging around, she's making phone calls, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And then she calls CPS on Dee Dee because she feels like Gypsy is being abused or is being taken advantage of, abused. Okay, so CPS worker comes up and Gypsy's back. This is one of the rare times Gypsy is not looking out, sitting on the couch looking out. So Dee Dee sees the CPS worker coming. She turns up the TV and then runs Gypsy into the bathroom and gives her the sleep baby pills. That's what she named them. And she opens them up and makes Gypsy lift her tongue. Dee Dee does. And she puts two of them down. She cracks the pill open. And the powder that comes out when it's one of those plastic pills. She puts that under Gypsy's tongue. And Gypsy didn't want to do it, but Dee Dee forced her. And so Gypsy is gonna be out of there because she's putting it right in her bloodstream. So the social worker comes and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it was the TV so loud or whatever. So she walks the social worker around, the CPS worker around. And the worker lets her know that someone filed a complaint in her neighborhood or something. She doesn't, they don't tell you who it is, but they just let you know someone did. And so Dee Dee is walking her around the house and everything, and she's asking the social worker is asking Dee Dee questions and just trying to figure out what's going on. And then she asks to speak to Dee Dee, and then she asks to speak to Gypsy, and Dee Dee tells her, oh, she has the mind of a 7-year-old, and all of this kind of stuff. Which, if Gypsy has the mind of a 7-year old, it's because Dee Dee wants it like that. She's like keeping her like that. So then we see that Gypsy, when Dee Dee brings her out, Gypsy by this point the medicine has kicked in and she's like slurry and she's sleeping, and Gypsy is pretty much out of it. But Dee Dee has already told the social worker that she has seizures and she has yeah, I think it's called epilepsy. When you Isn't that when you fall asleep? Anyway, she tells her she has all this. So the social worker wants to speak to Gypsy alone because she says there are questions that have to be asked that they might not feel comfortable saying in front of a parent. Of course, Dee Dee's not having this, so she's like, well, if she has a seizure, I need to be right here. So she tells her, go to the doorway and like, let me talk to her. So the social worker is speaking to Gypsy, and pretty much Gypsy is out of there, and she makes Dee Dee seem like she's a great mom, which on the surface, Dee Dee is a good mom. If you look at the surface and you don't know that Gypsy isn't really sick and everything. But then, so Dee Dee is watching the social worker and Gypsy talk, and then the next thing you know, she starts looking at the purse and she looks down, and on that table is the prescription pad that she had for that she had taken from the doctor. Sorry about that. My sinus always acts up. All this pollen that she had taken from the doctor, and so Dee Dee is trying to figure out a way to get it before the CPS worker sees it. So the CPS worker said she had a question for Dee Dee, and it was like her social and her name on her social security and everything did not match, and she was like, "Oh, you work for the government. I've been trying to get that fixed. I've been calling and calling. Something happened with Katrina." She gave some line. And the woman, you know how when somebody trying to put work off on you and you like, that's not me. That's not my apartment. So the woman was pretty much like, that wasn't my apartment. And so the way Dee Dee did it was she took the prescription pad and flipped it over and was like acting like it was just a notepad or something. So then we see Dee Dee goes over to Mel because she's trying to ask the social worker who reported her, but of course the social worker can't tell you. So we see Dee Dee goes over to Mel and she's like, "Who would report it? Like who?" And the way she's wording it, Mel's like, "Listen, Dee Dee, I didn't report you. Like I got enough stuff going on." So they bond over how tough life is, which Mel doesn't realize. Dee Dee got money. She has all that, she has money from getting money from Gypsy's dad. Their house is Habitat for Humanity. Like, I don't understand what Dee Dee is doing with all this, with the money that she's getting. I don't understand. But anyways, we're probably going to the hospital. But anyway, so they bond over that, and Mel says, just forget about it. I don't know who called, but just forget about it. But before that happens, Dee Dee is so distraught that someone could have called the CPS worker on her, and she feels like, because she said someone in the neighborhood, that's what the CPS worker said. She didn't want to say the doctor or whatever, so she puts lining all around, like on the windows and everything, so you can no longer look into their home. Like, she's really trapping Gypsy in this home, and her as well as herself, but really Gypsy, because she wants Gypsy there. So Gypsy goes to the dentist, and I feel so bad for her. She goes to the dentist, and they're giving her needles and everything, and they tell the mom, you have to stand outside before the extractions. And Gypsy's like, extractions? And so they take out all her teeth and everything. So Gypsy wakes up from going to the dentist, and of course she's like bruised all up, because she's bruised all up and her front teeth are missing and everything, and like, she's sad because she's a child. She doesn't want to go around without teeth, and they didn't have any, like, the replacements or anything, so she was sad. So Dee Dee is trying to, like, bathe, like, she's bathing her and just trying to talk to her, but Gypsy's not really having it because she's upset and she doesn't want to go. So in a later scene, you see that she doesn't want to go to the conference that, the award that she won for 2009 Child of the Year, because she's like, I don't have any teeth, I don't look pretty, and Dee Dee gets upset with her, like, literally really upset with her about that, because that's all, like, Dee Dee says this award was for Gypsy, but it wasn't. It was to shine a light on Dee Dee, and everything. But so anyways, Dr. Chandra calls in the middle of Dee Dee yelling at Gypsy because Gypsy doesn't want to go, and she really has to sweet talk Dee Dee into bringing Gypsy in. She was like, "Oh, I heard you want the feeding tube change. You'd like for us to do it. I could do that for you, or whatever." And she tells her that they can find the underlying issues with her acid reflux and to come in and she'll get her to specialists and all that kind of stuff and everything. And so Gypsy is tapping because she's like, ask her about the feeding tube because Gypsy wants the feeding tube taken out and everything, but Dee Dee doesn't because her mind is really distracted about Dr. Chandra, because a part of her, I feel like, knows that Dr. Chandra doesn't believe her. Like, doesn't believe all the lies she's telling. So they go to get the award. Okay, so they go and get this award, and Dee Dee, at the last, she's putting on Gypsy's makeup, and Gypsy looks really pretty. And then at the last minute, she gives her the teeth, and this woman is standing on the side, and she was like, "Oh, is there a Mother of the Year award?" Like, no, sis, because she's been holding these teeth hostage from Gypsy. Like, she's probably already had these teeth weeks ago or whatever. Because that's one of the reasons why because Gypsy kept saying teeth, and that's when Dee Dee was fussing at her earlier. So Gypsy is like, "Why didn't you give these to me earlier?" Dee Dee's like, "Oh, they just came today, this morning." Okay. So then we see that they go out on the stage, because Gypsy has won her award, and they give Dee Dee a $5,000 check to help with the medical bills and all that kind of stuff. And did anybody else feel like she made that speech about her? Like, I was like, okay, sis. But it felt like she just turned that whole speech around and made it about her. And Gypsy just ate it up because she's so happy she has these teeth. And she's like, "Oh, my mom is making all these sacrifices for me." And they start singing Jackson 5, "I'll Be There." And it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. So after they're done with that and the crowd is all, "Oh," and everything, the next thing we see is they're at Dr. Chandra's office, and they're about to go in, and a nurse comes up to Dee Dee and says, "Oh, I forgot to get you to fill out this paperwork, and I need your new insurance card." Which I feel like Dr. Chandra had something to do. It's getting late. Can you tell I'm tired? I feel like Dr. Chandra had something to do with that as well, because it seems like she wanted those few minutes alone with Gypsy, only because in those moments she tries to get Gypsy to drink a soda, because she tells Gypsy, like, "I don't think you're allergic to sugar. I've talked to one of the doctors that visited with you earlier this year, and he says you're not allergic." In which we all know that's when Gypsy started eating all of the candy and sweets and all that kind of stuff, is when they visit. So Gypsy knows she's not allergic to sugar, and she says, "My mom's just trying to help." And the doctor told her, "Well, Gypsy, sometimes we have to help your mom too, and maybe this is the best way to help y'all." But Gypsy won't do it. Like, she's happy she has the teeth now. I don't know why she won't do it, honestly. I guess she just doesn't want to betray her mom. So she won't do it. So Dee Dee comes in, and the doctor, she sees the Coke, but the doctor hides it, and they change the feeding tube and everything, which looked painful. I'm like, ooh. So anyways, they change the feeding tube, and then we flash forward. And when we flash forward, Lacey and Mel are at home, and Lacey tells Mel, like, that Dee Dee confided in her about stuff. And so Mel is like, "Okay, well, what is it?" So Lacey goes over with Mel to the detectives, and she tells them that Gypsy had a private Facebook page that she used to meet men, and she feels like maybe, she doesn't know if it'll help, but maybe that they could have done something to them or whatever. So then we flash back. And then even flashing forward, we see the detectives see all these bears and stuffed animals. And earlier when Gypsy was at her doctor's visit, she had a green frog the first time Dr. Chandra talked to her. And this time she had something different. I can't remember what it was, y'all. And this time she had something different. And Dr. Chandra said, "What happened to the frog?" And she said, "Oh, every time I go to the doctor, I get a new stuffed animal." By the time Dee Dee had, when they found Dee Dee, they went into the house because Dee Dee had been murdered. That they were full of stuffed animals. Like, it was everywhere. Like, how many times that Gypsy had been to the doctor, the room was just full of stuffed animals. It was crazy. And then they saw the medicine cabinet and they were like, "All these meds for a child? Like, why is she taking all these meds?" And everything. So Lacey goes ahead and tells the detective that, and then the next scene that we go to is going back, and we see Gypsy going into her home, and she's putting her stuffed unicorn down because she went to the doctor. I don't know if this was another visit or the same visit, but she's putting the stuffed unicorn down, and she's just kind of looking at all the stuffed animals, and her mom's playing Jackson 5, "I'll Be There." Yeah, and she tells Gypsy, "Come out," and because that's their song, and Gypsy just slams the door, and I'm just like, you had your opportunity. And you know what's sad about these cases? It's always like when you see these kind of cases, you always see where if they had made certain choices differently, the whole thing could have been completely different. You always see that. Whenever you look at these kind of cases. But so that was the act. I have not seen the third episode that I'm going to review tomorrow, and I'm glad I haven't, because it's for me it's way harder when I've seen the episode because I want to talk about it. But since I haven't seen it, I don't know what's going to happen on the next episode because I didn't even watch the preview for it. But this episode, I just feel bad for Gypsy because, like, you could tell, like, if that is really what happened, that's sad because some of it is not, they're making it up. But if her mom really did withhold her teeth from her and all that kind of stuff, like, that's messed up. And and you would think that all of the doctors, like Dr. Chandra, like, why didn't any other doctors, like, it's like, hey, like, she's bringing this big book in, which I'm assuming had to be a real thing. You never know when you're watching these kind of TVs. But if she's bringing all this stuff and she's saying she went to this doctor for this and this doctor for that, like, you would think the doctors would follow up with each other and figure out things, because I know when I had to switch doctors, like, they sent my medical records and everything over, so you would think that would happen. But it's late and I am tired. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I will see you tomorrow with the third episode, and a new episode comes out Wednesday. I'm very excited about this. This is a good show. Hulu is doing it with the scripted series. Bye.